Here we go. This is it. Not the smartest guys in the room. I see my friend Tom. How's everybody doing today?
What's going on, buddy? How are you? Another Not the
Lovely.
Smartest Guys. Last one of January.
Last one in January through 1 month of the year. What's up, Jason? How you doing? What's up, everybody? Today, we are going to talk about short form video, the secret sauce. What's that all about? Short form video doesn't matter. Is it important? Do you need it? Is it worse than long form? Is there any value in it? Can you make value? All things short form video, Tom. Then we'll do a Tom's Thumbs, maybe a show and tell. We got all kinds of stuff to do.
There you go. Are you good on questions? Is that all the questions you wanted to ask about short form video? Or are there other questions? Because I feel like there could have been like one or two more.
Oh, I got a few more. Is there a certain amount of time per? Is it different per platform? Like some you just can't go over. Okay, so Tom, what do you think about this? What do you think about a short form video that just ends randomly because people will put something on Instagram and then it just cuts off after 90 seconds and they're in the middle of it?
I mean, I kind of feel like that's weak sauce amateur hour.
I wish I would have asked that in Tom's Thumbs. Weak sauce amateur hour. Okay.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, you know, if the smallest amount of research, of education, of learning. I mean, if you're using a platform, I'm not saying you have to be an expert at Instagram. Lord knows I'm not an expert at any social media platform. If I'm looking off camera right now for anybody watching, just so you know, it's because I'm inviting people into the room on Clubhouse. But anyway, yeah, I mean, I think if you just did the smallest amount of research, just learned a tiny bit about the platform you're using, you would know that, you know, for Instagram Reels, there's a 90-second time limit. All it takes is a super fast Google search to find that out, right? So if you're using that platform, you should know that you only have 90 seconds, and you should make sure that your piece of content, your short form video, fits in the 90 seconds. Like, I don't think that's too much to ask. If you're going to share content, you know, and look, things slip through the cracks. Like, do accidents happen? Absolutely. Do I make mistakes? 100%. All the time. Like, every day I make a mistake at something, right? Nobody is perfect. So I'm not expecting perfection, but like, it absolutely should not be routine that, like, you know, you run over that 90 seconds, or your videos, you know, end abruptly because they're cut off by the platform. Like, if that happens once, fine. But
okay, I'm going to just quiz you all day today, and we'll quiz everybody.
All right.
What if I go part 1, part 2? Because I see now I'm saying I notice some people will have like 7 parts or something. Okay, and I'm like, all right, I'll watch another one. You know, but is that acceptable, or is that their plan, or what do you think?
Yeah, parts are fine. But also, you know, put a little care into, you know, like, put a little care into your edits, right? So, like, for example, if I'm watching a piece of content, a short form piece of content, and it has multiple parts, right? Whether it's on Instagram or TikTok or whatever, right? And it's got multiple parts. If I swipe over to the profile to go to watch the next part, right? And the next part is like the first 60 seconds of it is what I just watched, and then there's a little bit new stuff at the end, which happens all the time, then, like, I'm out. If I go to part 2 and it's not new pretty immediately, right? I'm out. Like, I'm not going to watch it. So just like, you know, I think at the end of the day, if you want people to watch your content, you have to demonstrate to them that you actually care about what you're putting out, right? That you're taking pride in the work that you're putting in front of them, the content that you're putting in front of them, that it matters to you whether or not you're doing a good job or you're doing your level best, right? Not even that you're doing, you know, it's the best content ever on a scale, you know, across all kinds of different kinds of content. Like, just that you're doing your best, right? That you're making your best effort to provide them with the best content you can provide them with, right? If I don't feel that as an audience member, I'm out, right? Like, you lost me, because then it just says to me that you don't really care whether or not I feel valued, or whether or not I feel my time is valued, right? You're not interested in the individuals, you're interested in the metrics. And if that's the case, then I'm out. I don't care about your vanity metrics.
I dig it. And you speak my language when you talk about time valued. Nothing frustrates me more than when somebody watch a video and they'll say, I don't know what I'm going to talk about today, or we're just going to wait around for a while. I thought this started at this time. I thought this video, teach me right now. I want to learn. I want entertained. I want to smile. If you want me to wait, or you don't know what you're talking about, well, then I don't know why I'm watching, and I'm moving on. So, okay, short-term video. Jason, you're making some videos, making some TikToks and things like that. Any secret sauce that you found, anything that works better that you might suggest for our community?
Hello?
Yo.
Sorry, my mic was just not working for a sec. Yeah, there's plenty of strategies. There's plenty of methods. Will I call them a tip? No, because everything has to follow a sequence of events. The start needs to be your pitch, and the question is the hook. But if you're creating a series, you, like what Tom was talking about, remember that the series needs to be concise. It needs to be not like 9 to 15 parts, but it should be like so concise that where if it totaled up to 3 minutes of time of people watching, okay, because many people check out in short form videos by 12 seconds. And a lot of times it's even earlier than that. So if you want to reach a success point, remember you're pitching a story or an interest to them, and you show how you relate it. So by making it a campaign, that's going to be critical. People resonate with when they talk in niche or genre or area of influence, and you can plan out that area of influence a week in advance. You can batch record one day and then spend 3 or 4 more days making it to where you time release it. But many content creators are impulse release creators. So they just see something, they get on a trend. But the thing is, I don't care how many followers you have, and I don't care how many likes you have. What moves the needle, what gets you paid, what gets you seen and valued is the comments, the saves, and the forwards. So if you're sharing something and you're drawing in comments and saves, that's worth way more than likes, way more than followers, because your percentile of your followers is probably less than 10% respond to any of your content at any given time. That's just a fact and reality. So it's a numbers game. It's a reality. You're going to be useful and unuseful many different times. So don't get too comfy. That's what I'll say.
Right on, brother. Thank you. All right, let's keep this rolling. Short form video. What is the secret sauce? What do you like? What don't you like? To Jason's point about the time frame, the 12 seconds that it takes to wonder how many of us tune out in less than 12 seconds. Do we give it a whole 12 seconds? How quickly do we know? And I bet it is 12 seconds. So do we need to do something more to spark interest at first? Dr. Tachi, we're talking secret sauce to video. Do you ever, when you're making your videos, I will admit, other than thumbnails, I probably have straight out failed on thinking I need to hook them in the first 12 seconds. I don't even know if I have that ability, right? I need to step up my game. But Dr. Tachi, do you ever think about that in the videos or content you're making?
Good morning, everyone. As an afterthought, I do understand you do need to get them in that first few seconds, otherwise you've lost them. But the interesting thing is I was talking with someone on Sunday who came down because they wanted some advice about YouTube, etc. And she was saying, but I'm always thinking in the first 3 seconds I said, well, stop thinking about that. That's part of the problem because you're so busy trying to smash everything into the first few seconds that now, you're not thinking about the rest of the video. It's only that first, excuse me, few seconds. So it is something to think about, but it's not the only thing to think about because yeah, you have them, but you have to keep them. It's also about retention as well. So have them there, book them, but then you have to keep them. That's what I would say.
Okay, good stuff. Now, if I was sharing clips from like this show or from my show Bikes and Hikes, then I probably am going more in that realm. Okay, I know I'm going to catch them. It's this, but I don't know. Tom, you got answers to this? We need experts' opinion.
Well, I'm not sure which question you're asking if I have
The
an
whole
answer
thing,
to.
man. This is why we decided to talk about it.
There's
We need to know.
47. You asked 47 questions at the beginning.
You should write a whole book
one,
about
and
short
I'll
form
give
video.
I'll give you my thoughts on it.
I want a legendeering short form.
Well, all right. First of all, I'm gonna start by addressing a phrase that you've used a bunch of times, and that is secret sauce.
Okay,
right? What's the secret
go
sauce?
Go on.
Guess what? Guess
what?
what? No
What?
secret sauce.
Charisma.
It's not a thing.
The it factor.
It's always a confluence
Okay. Fair.
of variables, right? There is no secret sauce. There is no hidden hack. There is no 3-step process to gaining. That's all that like, and the thing that the reason why, and this is not targeted at you, this is a broader thing that I get frustrated with, but the reason why it frustrates me is this kind of language, this way of thinking about things is the result of bullshit bro marketing, right? This idea, this notion that that difficult, challenging, complex problems can be solved very simply and that only a few people know how to do it and they'll let you in on the secret if you give them enough money, right? Is the sort of the false premise that bro marketing is built on. And this idea, like they're the ones that peddle secret sauce and they keep telling you, we got the secret sauce. We got this hidden trick. We figured out the hack, the one hack that'll change your life forever, right? And it's all bullshit. It's all smoke and mirrors. It's all to just extract money out of your pocket to get you to buy into the simple fix. When the truth is that there's a million reasons why something works and why one thing works and why another doesn't, right? And a lot of it has to do with simple timing, right? And often the timing is just luck, right? It's not because they scheduled a post to go live at exactly the right moment and there were 47 other variables that they controlled for that led to that piece of content going viral. They got lucky, right? They happened to be in the right place at the right time. But you know what the one thing is that you can do to increase your odds, to improve your opportunity, to tilt the luck more in your favor? That's post consistently, right? And not only will that increase the odds that you gain viewers, that you get more engagement from those viewers, those comments and those saves and those shares that Jason was talking about, right? Not only will those increase if you are more consistent and you post more often on a consistent sort of schedule, right? But also your content will get better over time, right? Because practice makes improvement. So like not only will, and that also will shift the luck in your favor. So you know what the real secret sauce is putting in the fucking work. That's the secret sauce.
Have at it, Jason. What do you want to add there?
Tom, you just came up with a campaign right there. Like I said in the comments, why don't you create a 30-second clip of all what you just said? Break it down, bullshit bro tip of the day. That's what you need to do. And I guarantee that would get a lot of attention. I'll bet money on it. It's catchy. and the way that you talked about it, you'll have an audience real quick.
He's definitely passionate about it. So I mean, Tom comes
Time
at
to
it.
put your money where your mouth is. Time to put in the work, Tom.
He comes at it from an authentic point of view. Yep.
I will 100% share that clip. I 100% will share that clip. And you're absolutely right, Jason. I'm sure that clip will gain some traction, right? But again, I think it's because what's underlying it is that this sort of bro marketing trend has been going on long enough now that people are starting to smell the poo-poo underneath it, right? Like the veneer is starting to wear off and the odor is starting to rise and people are starting to go, it doesn't smell right to me. Something isn't passing the sniff test and I'm not sure what it is. I can't put my finger on it, right? And the truth is it's because they've been selling you cow pies for years, right? And you've been buying them as if they're gold and it turns out at best, you can make a campfire out of them, and at worst, they're entirely useless.
I want to go back to what you said here. I wrote it down even. We used to talk about this in pharmaceuticals. Right place, right time, right message. And then sometimes we would add right place, right time, right message, right messenger. So all those things have to be right for anything to succeed. I mean, even across every historical thing that has ever happened, from elections to speeches to people on the steps in Washington, right place, right time, right message, and big things happen, whether it's books coming out, music coming out, anything. It has to be like we could put something out, the same story on different days, different times. And while this day it hit, this day it didn't. It's a lot of it is right place, right time, right message. But to Tom's point, the consistency, and this is a world why, even though I'm a publisher of books, believe so much in that, the consistency of content. If in a world where everybody's out online 24/7, searching inspiration, searching bro marketing, searching all these topics, if you're not there when they're looking for those things, well, they're going to find somebody else. So if you're not consistent with, if you're there once a month, once every 2 months, every so often, they're not going to find you. They're going to find somebody else. And then they're probably going to end up, Tom, buying into the bro marketing because you weren't there.
You know what, Dom? He should put on an Alleged Daring t-shirt, no bullshit broing in this kind of work, and have a bicycle or him like running or something like that. I think you just stumbled onto something that would be catchy just in branding alone.
There you go. Okay, we're keeping this train rolling. Dave, so what we're talking about here is we are talking about short form video, all things short form. So what you watch, why you watch it, how you make it, does it have value? Tom said when I threw this idea back to him and he was like, how about just because it's shorter doesn't mean that it's less valuable? Could you explain that before we get to Dave, Tom, this concept of you don't have to say less, you could, be more impactful.
Yeah, like short form content is absolutely valuable, right? And I think often people equate like size and value, right? That they are mistakenly sort of that it's a false equivalency that people put on it, right? That if something is bigger, it's better, right? And that is not always the case, right? Sometimes being concise, sometimes brevity and sharpness and clarity really carry a ton of value, right? And that's the kind of thing that you can get in short form content. I think the other thing too is that just because it's short doesn't mean you can be lazy about it, right? Just because it's short doesn't mean that you shouldn't put care into it, right? So it can and should be of a high quality, your best quality. I'm not comparing, other people to professional creators or whatever, but it should be to the best quality you can deliver for your audience, right? And it should be clear, right? I think that's one of the big things. It made me think of when we were texting about this, it made me think of a phrase that a friend of mine, a colleague of mine actually, had a mentor give to her years ago. when working on a script for a television show that they were making. He gave her the note, make it shorter and say more. Right. So, and the intention behind that note was give more value, right, in less words. Be more economical with your use of language to deliver a more impactful message in less time. Right. That's the real challenge of short form content. And the one that I think is often overlooked by people is they think, oh, it's short, it's easy, I can talk for 30 seconds. And it's like, yeah, but it's hard to compress a really clear message into 30 seconds. Right. That's a challenge. So it's not just because it's short doesn't mean it's easy. And just because it's short doesn't mean you can be lazy about the quality. Right. Both of those things become more challenging as you condense the time frame you're on. So that was just to clarify my thinking on that topic. Dom, hopefully that answered your question and maybe gave Dave something to talk about.
Okay, Dave. So you're up, man. What do you think?
So first thing I that popped in my head when you thought of short form content that has impact. So I'm going to say two phrases and tell me if you know what company this is a tribute to. Just do it, and I'm loving it. The shortest form of content there is, right? Like that is a single phrase, but I think it goes to right what Tom is saying, right? Those like we immediately know exactly what two companies I'm talking about by those simple phrases. But like I don't think you're talking more of like kind of reels and things like that. But when we think about short form content, like for me, I'm consistent at putting out content. I don't get really a lot of views at it, so I'm looking at my content right now as more of training wheels to get better at it, to understand what hits, what doesn't hit, what worked, what didn't work. All right, why did that thing go better than the other thing? And for me, like what I like to do is I'll do a long form video, and then I usually just use AI or as I'm kind of talking, because usually thoughts come out, and I'm like, okay, this would make for a great kind of short because it can, like Tom said, it condenses down the point. Like I do stand up comedy as well, and sometimes the best like jokes are, set up punch, set up punch, set up punch, right? Like they're like short, quick, and snappy. You can have this long kind of thing, but if you don't have those little kind of moments in there that can help tell the story or help tell your joke, right? So, and those are the things that people are going to gravitate to. As far as like content of like doesn't matter the length of content, the quality and what you say, whether it's a long video, a short video, 5 seconds, a phrase, a long conversation, if you're not engaging and getting that audience to be like hanging on those words, they're going to click away, right? They'll click away real fast. They won't pay attention. Their eyes will gloss over and they move on to the next thing, especially when it's so easy to swipe up, right? Like, back in the day before kind of the internet, when advertising was all through commercials, you had to sit there through those commercials. Like you were kind of forced to like go through that 30-second ad until you got to your show. Now, if you don't get those people within that first 5 seconds, if you don't capture what they're looking for, what they're yearning for, you're not going to get them at all. At least that's what I feel. But then again, I'm trying my best here, and honestly, this month has been like, as even though I've been getting more consistent, I have been struggling so much more in everything else to try to get my business up, try to get everything like up and going. I'm basically negative in all my bank accounts now. I don't know how I'm going to pay my rent in the next 2 weeks. So, but the only thing I know what to do is just to keep putting out content. Sorry, I'm just rambling. I'm not keeping it short like the topic. And with that, I'm done.
No, you're all right, Dave. We feel you. Keep building community. Do whatever. Get as many revenue sources as you can. I will just say, when I used to have a restaurant, loved my restaurant. At one point, I had a paper route. At one point, I refereed basketball. I would try to open earlier. I would cater. I got a job at another an Italian food store putting on presentations. So if this is the dream, you got to do all those other things to keep the dream alive. Sometimes the dream can't fund it yet, so get yourself a side gig at night or do something on the internet that pays you so that you can keep the dream alive. Keep going. That's my thought process on that. And then just back to your building of the community real quick. If you have 2 people that are completely engaged, well, you're doing all right. 2 people, 5 people, 10 people, what are you comparing it on? Are you comparing it on it? 2 months ago, you didn't have any views, and now you have 1 or 2 or 5 or people that are engaged. So as Tom said earlier, stick with the consistency, man. Okay, Tom, it is that time. This is first segment, second segment, whatever you want to call it. First interlude, short form video. What's the secret sauce? This is not the smartest guys. We appreciate everybody being here. But now it is time for Tom's thumbs. Tom has to give a thumbs up or a thumbs down based on something I ask him. So I want to position this different way, but I might go broad. So Tom, the question for you. What do you think at large about Super Bowl commercials?
I think, generally speaking, I almost stumbled. I almost said super tube, and I don't know why. Let me start that again. I think overall, Super Bowl commercials are a scam. I think that they are a ridiculous advertising money grab, right? By both the broadcast networks, right? And by the advertising agencies. They are overhyped. They are overvalued, right? And I think really the people that win are the advertising agencies that make those commercials that get paid stupid money to come up with mediocre concepts often, right? And the broadcasters that charge exorbitant amounts of money because of viewership of the Super Bowl. But I don't think they're worth the money. I don't think they're worth the money by any stretch of the imagination, right? I think dollar for dollar, you're much better off sponsoring a podcast, being the title sponsor of a popular podcast, right? I think you'll reach a wider audience. I think you're better off advertising using digital and OTT advertising to reach your audience. You have a broader, more impactful reach over a period of time. But like at the end of the day, as a business, as a brand, I think you're better off becoming a content studio yourself, creating your own content, right? Underwriting this, like the sponsorship of that content, and then delivering that value-driven content to your audience on a consistent basis, right? In other words, I think you should legendary your content. Shameless plug, but legitimately, I'm not the only one that thinks this, right? I'm not the only person in sort of the content development space that has this idea. If you look around, there's a lot of people shouting from the rooftops to businesses and brands that they need to get on board with creating content studios in-house, right? With developing content in-house, with becoming production companies, right? I'm not the only one that's talking about this. It's out there. A lot of people are talking about it. I've been shouting about it for the last couple of years, right? As long as you and I have known each other virtually, I've been shouting about this, right? You're probably completely sick of hearing me talk about it. I'm sure some of the people listening here are sick of hearing me talk about it. But you know what? Sorry, plug your ears. I don't know. Go listen to somebody else, but I'm going to keep talking about this because I genuinely believe it is the future of how businesses will communicate with and reach their audiences. Stop wasting your money on Super Bowl commercials. They are bullshit. They are overhyped. They are not worth the money. Millions of dollars for 30 seconds is an absurd price to pay, when for a fraction of that money, you could be the title sponsor of an entire podcast that reaches millions of people every week, right? I mean, it's just dumb. It's just dumb. It is an example of excess that doesn't get you what you're looking for, that doesn't lead down the road that you want it to lead down. It is the broadcast advertising equivalent of bro marketing. It's dumb. It sucks. It doesn't work. And it's over. How about that?
So Tom, is that a thumbs up or a thumbs down?
Oh yeah. My bad. My bad. I give Super Bowl commercials as a concept a thumbs down. Absolutely. Waste of money, not worth it. Go spend your money somewhere else. There's a million ways that I could help you spend. And hey, if you're listening, if you want some ideas, give me a call. Happy to consult with you and help you find some better ways to spend your money. But you know, spending millions of dollars on a Super Bowl ad, I think you might as well just put that money on the table and set it on fire.
All right. So I want to debate this now. What a Super Bowl costs $5 million for 30 seconds? Is that what they're saying nowadays? But don't a billion people watch it, or 500 million people? So if you're talking, and then don't they play it again? And are you getting one time, or do you get that and then all the people that play it on the news media the next day and talk about Coca-Cola and Michelin or whatever? I'm just saying, could it be a low investment?
No, absolutely not. So, like, have you been to a Super Bowl party before?
Yeah.
Yeah. How many
Of
people?
course.
How many people watch every commercial at that Super Bowl party?
Nobody.
Right.
And you can't hear them, and you're mad, and your team just got a touchdown scored on them. So no, even if it was the greatest commercial, I'd be annoyed. Go on.
Right. So here's the thing: is when you hear that number, like, oh, we've got 1 billion viewers, right? That's theoretically, right? They are theorizing, extrapolating from estimations of viewership that there will be 1 billion eyes on the Super Bowl or whatever number they're throwing out there. But that's not 1 billion people paying attention to what you're putting in front of them, right? There are some people at we go to a Super Bowl party at our friend Mark's house every year. We have for the last several years. And like, he's got a house full of people. He sets up TVs in like every room in the house. It's this whole thing. He's got like 40 people in his house. There are people that don't watch a second of the game, right? That don't pay attention to the commercials, don't watch any part of the game, right? But all those eyes are being included in that estimation, right? So how you multiply that out, and you think about, all right, are there really 1 billion eyes, or is that like 4 times as many eyes as there actually are paying attention, right? Whatever. So I'm making up numbers, but I don't feel bad about it because so are they. But like, my point is, the point I'm getting to is when I talk about like sort of being a title sponsor of a podcast, right? When you're talking about like what you're looking at for podcasts is like streams, right? And downloads. And both of those things are intentional actions, right? So if you are the presenting sponsor of a podcast, right? And you know that podcast averages 1 million downloads a week, right? Let's just say 1 million downloads a week. Big podcast, it averages 1 million downloads a week, right? That's 1 million people deciding to actively download or stream that podcast every week, right? And the odds are that the vast majority of them are going to hear about your product, and they are going to tie your product to the value that they get from that podcast, something that they like, that they enjoy, that they are invested in, that they are actively taking steps to participate with. And that is incredibly valuable, way more valuable than someone happening to glance at a Miller Lite commercial during the Super Bowl, right? Way more valuable than like a shot of the Goodyear blimp at the Super Bowl, and way more valuable than Coca-Cola, trotting out a couple of cartoon bears during the Super Bowl, right? It's way more valuable. It's bang for your buck, right? Like, do you want an engaged, invested audience who is going to associate your brand with something that they love and that they find value in? Or do you want somebody to happen to catch a glance of your product as they go to get more wings during the Super Bowl?
All right. Let's go on here. I see Billy. We got Jason in a comment. I want to go to Billy first because he's got this emoji of, I don't know, a profile picture of a guy. It looks like Spencer from King of Queens. He's kind of like, I don't know. So I wonder if we were talking short form video today, Jason. Then we moved on to, just for a second, we moved on to Tom's Thumbs, which we asked him one question and it was Super Bowl ads. What does he think? So I'm going to Billy just because he made the face, and then I'll come around to Jason and Swifty. Come on. What do you got, Billy?
Well, I mean, I don't think the Super Bowl ads, I mean, maybe TV ads or maybe ads in general on video might be more true to what you just said, but I think people will watch the Super Bowl for the ads. I know a lot of people that could give a rip about the game, but they are all eyes on deck, all eyes on TV. Everyone be quiet. Let's sit down and hit these commercials. Like, I know whole parties of people who do this. And it's probably one of the most talked about things during the Super Bowl on my social media feed anyway, are those ads. I don't see anybody like, hey, did you see that touchdown by Kelsey? I don't see any of that. I see like, oh my God, can you believe that ad? That's crazy. So I think I completely disagree about the football one, even though I do agree about the value of podcast audiences. And I don't find downloads to be valuable. I find quality audiences to be valuable. And so, even for smaller podcasters. So I do agree with you there. I do think if you really know your audience and you really are creating content for a particular audience, then the value of the attention of that audience is very, very high. And you can get a premium rate from sponsorship deals. But anyway, I mean, and once again, I didn't get the full context, Tom, so I'm not throwing you under the bus or anything or trying to pick a fight. I just heard what I heard there at the end.
No, all good, man. All good, man. Can I ask you a question?
Always.
Genuinely curious. So what is or what was the best, in your estimation, the best ad from last year's Super Bowl?
Probably a Doritos commercial.
Okay.
I can't remember exactly, but we didn't talk about retention of ads. We just talked about people seeing them and paying attention to them.
Okay. And do you have a favorite podcast, one that you listen to every week?
No.
Hey, hold on now. Does Billy know who won the Super Bowl last year? Does Billy know the two teams that played in the Super Bowl last year?
I don't know the two teams, but I know.
See, that's fair. See, he's giving you a hard question, but that's the whole game was about two people. Yeah, so see, Tom, you tried
Thanks,
to
Tom's getting my back. Thanks.
He tried to you, but I'm not letting it happen.
You proved my point, Dom. What are you talking about? You just proved my point.
Well, you're asking him if he knew the commercial. He doesn't know that who played either. That's all.
Yeah, my point is that people don't really pay a lot of as much attention to the Super Bowl as they're charging money for. And if you can't remember who played and who won, then point proven, man. Thanks.
I mean, but people obviously find the value in it and they receive the return on it because they're paying for it.
And it keeps going up.
Because that's the market. I mean, market, nothing is worth anything unless the market says it is. So we can all agree that Nikes aren't worth anything and they're not going to be worth anything. But since we all agree that they are worth something and they're worth $200, $300, $400, then the market pays $200, $300, $400.
I'm curious to hear what Dr. Tachi has to say. I'll put a sock in it for a second. I want to hear what Dr. Tachi has to say. She flashed her mic.
I did. Oh, this is so delicious. So I think this is the thing. I think it has a little bit to do with the creativity and the quality. Oh, sorry, Jason. Sorry, we skipped you.
Nah, go ahead.
Okay, now that you made me feel terrible. Anyway, I'm kidding. So I think it has also something to do with the creativity and the quality, because I will tell you very well, the Super Bowl commercials I remember, the Budweiser frogs, okay? You remember the puppy monkey baby? So things that are maybe outliers, things that are very creative, you will remember those, but those are from years and years ago. But if you ask me to remember, first of all, I don't give a damn about football to begin with. But if you ask me to remember like last year, because seemingly the creativity has gone down, and this is not a dig at the creative teams who make these, but it feels like it is stuck in the age of television and we have moved on to the digital age. Does that make sense? So I think it also has something to do with the quality and creativity of the ads themselves that they are not retained, because I can remember the ones from back in the day.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right. And Jason, my apologies. I was the one that went to Dr. Tachi. So yeah, go for it, man. What do you got?
Hey, Jay,
Oh.
hold on, Jason. Before you go, feel free to let Tom have it. You don't have to take it easy on him. Go on.
It's time for bullshit bro moment. Okay, bros, check it out. How many people watch football? And how many people are associated with people watching football? How many people who associate or friends with somebody who watches football to go to a house, and what are they doing? They're eating, they're talking, and sometimes watching. But when you create an impression by laughter or a touching moment, whatever it do to increase the senses of a brand, the emotional connection, either to buy or to look at, you cannot forget. So is Tom a football fan? Probably not, just by the way he talks. Is he going to relate to the people that fund the millions of dollars of the NFL, their brands, and anything that's affiliated? So we've seen traversing of commercials, but they make strong, valuable impressions. And if you don't think you do, then you're not in the industry of marketing. You're the one that actually makes the business for the people to commission you to make those video pieces in short form or whatever it may be, to make them millions more over. It's the impression of movement and action to buy, connect, relate by tongue to ear, constantly, long after the Super Bowl. We don't remember a lot of the Super Bowl commercials. Some are overhyped, but some are very memorable, just like Dr. Tachi said. And there is a list. For example, Budweiser Frog, Golden Memories by Lay's, Coca-Cola Hey Kid Catch, Squarespace and Sally Seashells, Wendy's Where's the Beef, Dunkin', Drive-Thru, T-Mobile, New Neighbors, and the Farmer's Dog Forever, just to give you examples. And if you haven't remembered, or I re-sparked your memory of what took place, you weren't watching, or you didn't care, you weren't in the position of buying. So more than likely, I mentioned something that you are aware of because I just struck a memory. That's the impression of marketing.
There you go. Thank you, Jason. All right. This is not the smartest guys in the room. We're talking short form video. We're talking Super Bowl ads. Yeah, we get going. We're beating up on Tom a little bit. Hey, Brian, we're talking. My camera's glitching. I don't know why. I turned it off, went back on, but that's just how things go. Okay, Brian Swift, short form video. Do you have any plan of attack when you do it? And if you want to jump on the Super Bowl, go ahead.
I
Bowl
agree.
commercial.
I agree with everybody on the Super Bowl thing. Those commercials aren't made for everybody, and there's got to be some value for them to pay the money they do. I mean, so I agree with Tom that, that I think they're exorbitant and outrageous, but man, you know what? They got people fighting for them to put their message out there. So I'm guessing that they're getting a return on that. But yeah, they are a bit wacky. But the other side of that is people talk about it. People are hyped. Like what's the best one, and they talk about it afterwards. So there's something about it. Kind of like the Puppy Bowl. They do this goofy Puppy Bowl, and okay, I mean, who doesn't like puppies? But it brings a lot of attention. So worth it or not. I mean, we could talk value on a lot of things, whether it's worth it or not. Just think of the time we spend coming up with content, and we really have no idea. You put some content out there, and it just it's dry. It gets no looks. It gets no notice. But you put a lot of effort into it. So some of it is just that learning curve. So when I put out content, I do it to make a point. I do to usually try to inspire. Yeah, I mean there has to be several reasons why you're driving the content you're driving. So I think everybody has those reasons, and they could be different. And I'm sure they are different for the why. And it's really probably driven around whatever your purpose is, and whatever you're trying to, that message you're trying to get across at that time. I'm complete.
Go on, Tom.
Yeah, I think I think the other thing too, this just popped into my head, like I think, and first of all, welcome all the diversity of thought. Like, don't feel for a second that I can't have my thoughts challenged. I'm happy to have them challenged. It makes me think harder and work harder at coming up with good reasoned arguments, and I'm always happy to do that. So always happy to have diversity of thought and be challenged on the things that I say. The thing that just popped into my head though is at the end of the day, just because people are willing to spend money on something or pay for something doesn't mean that thing actually has value, right? I think that is kind of a common misperception, right? And if you don't like, and I think that's an easy thing to disagree with. People probably are sitting here listening, thinking to themselves, what are you talking about? If people pay for it, of course it has value. And like, all I have to say to that is, if that were true, then there would be no such thing as like the rug pull that happened with the Huck Tua coin, right? Like, it had no value, but people were willing to spend crazy money to get in on it, right? And then they pulled the rug pull, and it turned out that everybody else was left holding the bag, and it didn't actually have any value, and people were upside down on their investments, right? So like, just because people are willing to pay for something doesn't mean that it has the value, especially value at that price point, right? Things can be overpriced for what they're actually worth. And I think absolutely, unequivocally, I believe that Super Bowl commercials are overpriced and not worth the money that is spent on them. But yeah, I just wanted to like put some context on that just because the market will pay for it doesn't mean that the thing actually has that value.
Okay, I like to challenge Tom as well. I have little pieces of memorabilia sitting around that are priceless to me. Like when I call my insurance agent, and I think about like insuring a picture of Michael Jordan that's to the market, is where they're like, what the hell are you talking about? And I'm like, this. They're like, how much memorabilia you got? I'm like, hundreds of thousands. And they say that their value they put on it is their value is a lot less than what I say, because it's something I value so much. This experience happened. These gloves that Paul Spadafore signed, or Hurricane Carter, or this picture of me, to me, it's so valuable. All right, so I hear you about value, but except for the Huck Tua coin, I think the value a lot of time is what the buyer puts on it. For like that sofa that that frame around your favorite picture of you and your kids, priceless. I'm coming, Ethan. Hold on one second, my man. Short form video. What's the secret? Okay, we got Ethan in the house. It said social media scientist in his bio. I'm going to read this bio here. So hold on here. It says, inquiry, let's see here. Social media influence, app tester, product tester, influence of positivity. I like this. Okay. All right. I dig positivity myself. Ethan, so we're talking about the value of short form video, making it valuable, getting it seen, not putting out nonsense. And then Super Bowl commercials came up too. So what say you?
Hey, good morning, everyone. Short form secret sauce. I feel like if you can create it, you can create it. Do it, but don't do it just for the views. And enjoy what you create. Also, about those other topics you were talking about, I spend money on things I need for my videos that are valuable, like camera equipment, things like that. Especially, I don't participate in the Huck Tua coin. That was a pump and dump coin. Everyone just wanted to buy it because they were fans of Huck Tua. And yeah, you should insure everything you have that is of value.
All right, good stuff. Insurance tips as well. That's what we're doing today. I spent 9 years. I spent 9 years in the insurance game. It was like I tell people I did a 9-year bid in insurance because it was not for me. Okay, short form video. Tom, is it time for show and tell?
Let me look at the clock. It is. Actually, we're a little bit late for show and tell. Usually we try to do it around 10:15, about 45 minutes in. So we're a few minutes late, but that's okay. Better late than never. Show me and tell me.
Okay, I'll keep it brief because I want to be concise and I want to add impact quicker. Okay, so today's show and tell, something that is priceless to me, but would mean squadoosh to many other people. Okay, so many years ago, I worked I sold Yellow Pages, and I was a reader of Dale Carnegie and Norman Vincent Peale and all these people, and I thought I had something to say. And at the Yellow Page business, they were big on writing your goals down. So I took this little notebook and I started writing it, and I'm covering it. Little green notebook. I'll show you the back. It's this big. So I start writing in it, payoff produce guy, that kind of thing. After a period of time, I started thinking, I'm a reader of these books. I have something to say. So I wrote on the front of this thing, first book. And this became, as now I'm a publisher of books. I've helped hundreds of people publish books. I've written a bunch of them, but this was the beginning of the first book. So somewhere, you guys anybody out there, start somewhere, start where you are. Like you said earlier, Tom, start where you are today with what you have. And this is where I started writing little notes in this green notebook. First book, Ethan, it's priceless to me. And here it is. First book. That's my show and tell.
I love that. I love that. I love the story behind it. You know how I feel about stories. Big fan. So I love the story behind that. I have to ask, is squadoosh is that a technical term? Is that a Pittsburgher term? Like what is?
Hey,
what is
hold
that?
on. I want to go. Jason, you know what squadoosh is?
That sounds very familiar, like from Kevin Smith, right?
I don't know. It's Kevin Smith. Dr. Tashi, you know what that
I
is.
think it is. Jay and Silent Bob.
Douche?
Yeah.
I don't know.
You said one day that we say weird things. It means like zero, nothing. That's what squadoosh is. Come on.
Dr. Tachi almost got a spit take out of me with that. I was taking a sip of my drink. She goes,
she's so bored. She's so bored
I don't
with
know.
everything I have to say. Very, very. Hey, you know what's cool about consistency in producing content? That sometimes, our buddy Dwayne was here before. Sometimes you put out the content, you make the content, and as your community grows and you're consistent with what you're doing, the new parts of community, they don't know what you did 3 years, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and they start to find those old shows. And then the old episodes, old posts, that kind of thing. And all of a sudden, those older posts get a life of their own. So sometimes it has happened where something I did years ago, all of a sudden goes from 10 to 10,000 or from 1,000 to 100,000. And I'm like, whoa. And it's fun seeing because the metrics and you get the updates where people are commenting on it. But it is only because you put out that content. So
you know who said it, Dom?
Okay, what do you got?
Jack Black in Kung Fu Panda.
Okay, there you go. I think we had squadoosh long before he said that. So
right, it's a French term, a French Anglican term.
My daughter's in 10th grade, and she said something about manifest destiny the other day, and I'm like, manifest destiny was a word long before this happened. Look it up in the dictionary. And she goes, so yeah, all these things happen first. Okay, Tom, before we get to you, should we get a last thought on secret sauce, short form, or Super Bowls from everybody in the room?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go around the horn. Let's see what everybody has to say.
See what everybody's got to say here. Okay, Brian, give us 30 seconds or so. Last thought on secret sauce short form video.
I think it's got to be short form. I know that's somewhat ambiguous. Does that mean under a minute, under 30 seconds? It's hard to sometimes get a message under a minute, but keep it short, keep it concise. And I think the big key is the consistency of which you put it out. I'm complete.
That's a good point, Brian. And is there a different length for each viewer? Like one viewer is looking at this, one viewer wants this, one viewer considers this, and maybe you position videos for all of those. Ethan, what do you got? A final thought on short form video?
On short form video, just essentially just be you and don't be someone you're not. Like be you, but don't be someone that you're not.
We get it, brother. Thank you. Be authentic. Good stuff,
No
man.
problem.
Thank you, my man. Dr. Tachi, what do you got? A new hat brand? Besides a new hat brand coming out soon? The Touch. That's a good idea. Go on, Dr. Tachi.
Oh, wow. Do it. Because sometimes the holdup to doing video is the fact that you think you don't have time, when all you need is your cell phone, a mobile phone, and a message, right? Remember the New York lottery? Tom does. All you need is $1 and a dream. All you need is your mobile phone and an idea. So yes to short form video.
Good stuff. Jason.
My final takeaway, there isn't a major influencer out there that didn't get more famous because they didn't use short form. So use short form, get you infamous, famous, whatever, someone's tongue to somebody's ear and get them to do, go for it. Don't waste your time in analyzing what everyone else does. Just freaking do it.
Good stuff. And here's mine. I've talked enough. I am boring myself, so I want to hear from Tom and not me. Go on, Tom. This is the wrap up. Dun, 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 dun. We need music for that.
Yeah, you want a music cue? Okay, I'll put that on my list of things I got to do. Is I got to build a music cue for my own wrap up. Yeah. So I think all really good points. And I think generally speaking, we're all kind of on a similar page here, right? I think there is a tremendous amount of value in short form content that is not to be overlooked. Just because something is short doesn't mean that it doesn't have the same value as longer form content. It absolutely can. In some cases, it may have even more value than longer form content. So don't judge it by its duration, right? Don't judge it by how long the piece of content is. Judge it by its quality, right? And that gets me to the next point too, which is for sure, just because something is short doesn't mean you can be lazy when it comes to quality, right? Quality matters, whether we're talking about short form content or long form content. Whatever your personal brand is, whether you're trying to build yourself up as an influencer, whether you're representing your brand or your business, whether you're representing the company that you work for, whatever the case may be, quality matters. Quality will always matter. So just because something is short doesn't mean you can skimp on quality. I think Brian had a great point with being concise, right? That's incredibly important. When I said before that phrase that a friend of mine first heard from a mentor, which was say more and make it shorter, right? That idea is that you should try to be concise and economical with your use of language, which will encourage you to be more decisive in your use of language as well, right? If you have a long time to go with a piece of content, you tend to waffle, right? But if you have to be short and concise, you're more decisive in the messaging, and that will help draw your audience in, right? And create more engagement for you, make the content more impactful. Also being consistent with it goes without saying. It's the one surefire way to tilt the odds further in your favor towards gaining traction with your content is get it out there consistently, right? I think Ethan had a great point saying just be you. Absolutely. Authenticity is incredibly important. Whatever you do, don't try to emulate someone else. Be your brand. As you like to say, Dom, there's one thing that you're the best at in the world, and that's at being you, right? So definitely be you. Be relentlessly authentic, as I like to say, right? Dr. Tachi hit the nail on the head. If you're being held up because of you think there are technological issues, or you're kind of making up excuses or putting roadblocks in front of you, just remember, all you need is your phone and idea. We all have phones, smartphones in our pockets that have cameras and can record video. And we all, I would like to think anyway, we all have lots of ideas on a daily basis. So practice, right? Jason said this earlier in the comments, practice, right? Record it over and over again. Practice makes improvement. So all you need is a phone and idea and some time to practice it, right? Practice it. If you're not happy with it, re-record it, redo it, right? Work on it, build it over time. You don't have to start out perfect. If you look at go to your favorite creator and go dig way back into their content to when they started, right? You'll see that their content has not only evolved over time, they probably started doing something different than what they're known for doing now. Like Mr. Beast is a great example. I think he started like doing like Minecraft videos, right? And doing that kind of stuff. And then now he does these huge like giveaways, right? Completely different, right? His content has evolved over time. So yeah. And then also, you know, finally to Jason's point, you know, short form will help you build an audience without question. It enables you to get a lot of content out there on a regular basis, using that consistency to really tilt the odds closer to being in your favor. They're never really in your favor, right? But you can sort of tilt the odds closer to being in your favor. You can increase the likelihood that you'll gain traction with a piece of content if you just put more out there, right? So make sure it's good, make sure it's quality, make sure it has a clear, concise, and deliverable message, and be consistent with it. And finally, make sure it's authentic to you. Just like this show is for both of us, right? Dom and I don't put on any airs. This is who we are, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I just don't have the time or patience to try to be anybody other than who I am. So this is who I am. This is what you get. You know, whether I'm ranting about secret sauce and again, bro marketing, throwing shade on that, or talking about the value of Super Bowl commercials, or doing this wrap up. This is who I am all day, every day. So take pity on my wife. Thanks for listening. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate you all for being here. You are the reason why we do Not the Smartest Guys in the Room every week at 9:30 a.m. Eastern time, right here, live on the internet, using Clubhouse, obviously, as our platform to bring people into the room, but then streaming across the internet on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, TikTok, Twitch, you know, a whole bunch of platforms. Anyway, appreciate you guys. Love you guys. Thank you so much for being a part of this every week. We will see you next Wednesday to kick off February, month 2 of 2025. We'll see you right here on Not the Smartest Guys in the Room, 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. Until then, have a great rest of your week. Have a great weekend. We love you. Bye-bye now.